Spoiler warning for the first 3 episodes of the show we're covering this episode. There is occasional adult humor, and this podcast is intended for adult audiences. Finally, an epilepsy warning. There are occasional flashing lights for video viewers. Welcome, everyone, to the Anime Overviews podcast. This is the first episode, being held together with duct tape and spit and whatever the fuck Brando is doing over there. Today, we have 2 co-hosts, which is pretty cool. I guess it would be 3. I guess I count as a co-host. Fuck if I know. I'm too lazy to look it up. So we have 3 co-hosts today. We have myself. I'm BladesArisen. Really? Oh, I'm so glad I got that on. I am a long time anime film critic and analyst, at like a hobbyist level. I've been doing this for, I think it's actually been 10 years at this point. That doesn't make me feel old at all. It's been like 9 or 10 years. I've been here a long time, dude. And at some point in the last year, I was struck with inspiration and I wanted to make this very podcast. So here we are. With me today, we have the one, the only, the entirely unique, and probably psychotic bbdemon. Introduce yourself, my friend.
Where the fuck are you outside? Where the why is there green?
You should judge us sometime.
Oh, okay.
Did my guy just did he just
He just touched grass.
I was gonna say, did this guy just fucking, what's the word I'm looking for? Did this man just assert dominance over the rest of the podcast by touching grass in the middle of the fucking night? I think he did.
I think he did.
Holy shit.
Hey, it's me. The crazy one. Yeah, totally.
He may in fact also be the smartest one here, though. We'll see.
I don't know about that.
Oh man, I don't know. Well, fucking Wraith and I watched these 3 episodes comically early in the morning, like a couple of absolute maniacs. So you didn't do that, at least. So you get bonus
I just
points
watched
for
the
that.
second and third episode at 1.5 cents.
Yeah, I don't blame you. We were able to tolerate through this shit without having to do that. We did not have to turn the speed up this time. We might do that in the future. All right. And finally, our guest for this episode may or may not become yet another co-host in the future. We don't know. It depends on how often he wants to do this, how often he wants to appear. It's Wraith. Introduce yourself, Wraith.
What hell have I unleashed upon us?
Something. You've signed all 3 of us up for psychological horror unwittingly, apparently.
Hello. I am the young and spry one, because this fucker's old. He needs the young people to feel like he's fitting in with everyone. No, I'm just fucking with you. I am somewhat experienced in this. I've watched anime a bit, nearly 8 years ago. So it's fun.
At least he's not going in blind.
I'm not going in blind, but I certainly have had
worse.
time to have my expectations changed.
Yeah. No one here is super young and stupid. Maybe we'll find someone who's kind of young and thoroughly stupid. That might be a good episode.
Oh, if you
later.
need stupid, I can just shut my brain off. Don't worry.
Oh no. We don't need stupid. I'm just expecting it, because between basically randomly picking anime, sometimes none of us will have seen it. That is not the case for this one. We wanted to actually pick something that was a good starter episode, and this is what we landed on. And that plan,
and as it turned out,
only sort of worked.
One that hadn't seen it. I was the only one that hadn't seen it. So that was real fun to go into blind.
I mean, Demon hadn't either. He dropped on episode 1.
Apparently started the first.
I dropped it on episode 1, so I watched more than before.
Oh,
that is true.
That was about it.
All right, so let's start out kind of going through the basics. This is all unscripted. We're just gonna roll right in and hope this isn't a total disaster that has to try to be salvaged.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
So let's start with the visuals. Let's start with the art direction, the animation, the direction.
Yeah, I have to say, it's for animation, it's really beautiful and all that. Like the waves they had on the first episode, like flowing hair, it was really well done.
This show looks damn good for average budget 2014. This show looks damn good.
Especially with my smoothened brain that hasn't seen one of these in forever, I was immediately like, wow.
Oh no, wait, I'm wrong. It's 2015. I was close. See, I'm glad I had that to pull up and correct my dumb ass. Yeah, it was 2015.
Like,
close enough.
What I wrote down for this, they're all right, it's over animation and art looks good, just for a hand and pen.
Yeah.
Modern hair flowing pretty good. Good.
I didn't have a lot to say in terms of it. I just remember being like, my brain wrinkles are very happy when looking at this.
Monkey brain happy, colors pretty.
Monkey happy.
Oh man. it's fucking...
Only they were allergic to
it
bigger
looked very good.
Oh man. All right, boys. So for me, this is definitely above average. There are certain things I liked and certain things I didn't. I definitely liked the character designs overall for a show that's supposed to have this sort of grounded, fairly realistic. It's supposed to feel pretty connected to reality, pretty grounded. I think for the most part, like general art direction does a pretty good job with that. It goes a little off the rails sometimes. There are certain shots in The Perfect Insider that are really, really fucking good looking. Now, ironically, these are probably supposed to be the budget shots because they're typically like stills or slow pans of like environmental shots and stuff. And I want to say, I'm pretty sure it was episode 2. There's some pretty gorgeous nighttime shots, stuff like that. Really, really good backgrounds in this show overall. A few different artists. I feel like some of them were more like painted. There were some that were just drawn and compiled pretty nicely. Overall, pretty good. The backgrounds didn't really feel separate from the characters. Everything flowed together pretty nicely for the most part. There was some goddamn 2010s budget CG, because of course there was. We can't have an anime that has cars. Yeah, we can't have an anime that has cars past like the year 2002 or whatever that doesn't have CG for all the cars and all the mechanical stuff. That was absolutely the case here too. Yep, the car.
It's hard for me to be, oh wow, I know that car, and then I fixated on that for like the next 5 minutes.
All right, we have talked about this red car for long enough. Jesus. Okay.
It's my specialty.
To be perfectly transparent, I don't have a ton to say about the visuals for this show. I thought they were competent. I thought the visuals were overall certainly above average. I was impressed at the show's good utilization of its animation budget. Other than the CG cars, which were pretty uncommon in this show, I thought other than that, the budget was used pretty well. There wasn't really any egregious budgeting anywhere. It all looked pretty good. You know, the backgrounds and the characters and everything interacted well and flowed together nicely. You know, there were some close-up detail shots sometimes in this show that all looked pretty good. All in all, not super creative shot composition or anything. A couple of weird shots. We'll talk about that in a minute. But, you know...
Oh, man, we will.
General art direction, definitely above average. Pretty good for the show, especially for A1 Pictures 2015. Pretty good.
Yeah, no, it was really solid. Nothing just spectacular, but it was certainly better than your average watch that you would get. So
yeah, it's just
pretty good, all things considered.
It's just an above average, pretty grounded, pretty realistic looking show that just happens to have some CG cars. Uncommon.
But as we know, with a mystery, it's not about how pretty it looks.
No, story. It's about the vibe. It's about the vibe.
It's the plot.
Oh man,
we have plenty
Brando,
to say.
I know you have something to say about the visuals. I know you do. I've seen your notes.
I like it, but the problem was the lighting was the big fucking issue for me, because I've noticed just unrandom like areas are just very fucking bright, burn my eyes out, and other sections were just bitter dark in the same fucking room in episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
The first episode, they're in this classroom with the professor in particular, just blares your eyes out. Or if you're looking at the lady, what's her name, like Melee or something, it'll be perfectly fine, or it'll be too dark. But when you turn back and look towards the windows, all of a sudden your eyes are burning a hole.
the full concentrated power of the sun coming through those windows.
Yeah, pretty much.
So in other words, they really needed to tone the contrast on that lighting down.
Well, that was not the only issue. Like, they had it a lot in episode 2, like during the campsite area where everything was just
really dark.
way too dark.
Very dark.
I did
you can
notice
only
that.
really make out some of the candlelight, and then cutting later, then you go to a very bright building, and it's like, wow.
I could see some of the nighttime detail, but it was definitely really faded out even on my display with its contrast just jacked up basically as high as I could possibly take it. Like I
They
always
fixed
do
the
with
contrast.
these.
It would have been a really nice shot.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for dark nighttime scenes with like candlelight or torchlight.
Before I forget, the other things kind of had to do with the animation / art was the transitioning between who's talking.
Oh yeah,
In
we're gonna
particular,
get into
episode
direction.
1.
Yeah, let's get into the direction here. Go ahead. Get into the direction. Dig into it.
Because in particular, like in the the bar or something, or just it's a bunch of seated area for food and stuff.
Some kind of
That's the
restaurant,
area.
cafe thing. Yeah. Like
But
a campus
it goes between
coffee
the
shop.
professor and Moe, back and forth, like very fucking fast.
Yeah,
And then all of a sudden, random person number 1 comes in, interjects, sits down, talks. Random person number 4 comes.
I feel like if you want to do a shot like that, you take a wider shot where you have your characters already in, and then you have the additional ones join in somewhere in the back. That
Yeah,
way,
Yeah, that's what I was talking with Matt earlier about that too. Exactly that.
It's kind of sloppy. Yeah, if you're gonna do that, your characters need to not kind of like they need to not crawl out of the floorboards and slink out of the walls
Yeah,
like
no, they just call
ninjas
it,
and
"It's
suddenly
my
enter the
turn now.
fucking scene. It's
Look at me, I am speaking.
I'm sure
and then
there's a
you just
TV
smell
trope
someone
term
else
for
immediately.
it. I'm sure there is. I
I'm
don't know off the top
certain
of my
there
head
is.
though. Sorry to you film nerds out there. I don't know the TV tropes term for this
They're
cliche.
probably clawing at their screen right now, trying to kill us.
Nah, it's fine.
Yeah,
They
that's
knew what they
normal.
signed up for. They willingly clicked on an anime podcast. They knew what they signed up for.
At least we can hope.
Listen, all right. I don't know what the trope is called, but this is a thing a lot of, especially modern anime, will do, where characters will just kind of fucking show up. Usually, it's in the really, really cheesy animes where they take place in a fucking school, magical ghost wizard academy or whatever, and characters will just kind of pop up out of nowhere when they weren't previously in the conversation or in the scene. You know, some shows will do it okay, where they'll kind of have the characters peel off from another group to join this group. They do that in Serial Experiments a lot.
That would walk into the restaurant, sort of in the background, you can see.
Yeah, yep, and they changed the camera angle to establish that this is happening, and you can even see
There is a
in
right and
Lane
there
at
is a
least.
wrong
You
way.
can even see
And
bottom
this,
right
like, did it
is
horribly.
bottom right is this group who's currently talking, and then top left is group in distance that girl's going to peel off of and come join this group, talking this group. Very, very good direction in that show. Very, very not good direction here in this it's already bad because it's a cafe dialogue scene. That's already like 11 out of 10.
You're already
Overdone.
losing points for that one.
Like 11 minutes just listening to the two talk with small interjections.
Yeah, and then we get more. We get a
Fine.
lot more. It's
Sure.
it is in
And
fact
Al's
almost
doing
the whole
trying to fall
episode.
asleep in the middle of the
Literally,
episode
almost
challenge.
the entirety of that first episode is just, so we're talking in this room.
Yeah,
And also, jealous bitch. Over and over. Mo has to be a jealous bitch. Oh, she gotta be a jealous bitch again.
They wanted to make sure you, the viewer, knew right away. This is a tsundere in all
There is
capitals.
so much
Tsundere.
personality clause. There is
This is-
so much going on all at once. It's like, what is your character? What are you meant to be? I'm getting so many mixed signals.
Listen, okay, the director really, really wanted to get the early characterization out of the way as quickly as possible to make room for all the other characterization we'll talk about later. He really wanted to get that shit out of the way, so he did. And they squeezed some non-introductions in there too. This is a programming college campus for the liberal arts. This professor is extremely popular with all of his teachers' pet students, and they basically stalk him and constantly bother him. Very realistic. Very realistic.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say.
Yes, and
Very
then he
realistic.
smokes like 30 packs a scene.
Yeah,
Literal
he's-
chain smoke. He cannot live for a second without one.
Literally, I think at least 90% of the shots with him in it is him lighting another
He's always
cigarette and starts
smoking.
smoking it. And then he puts it out. And then he gets another
start
one.
a new one. It's
He's
like,
not
dude, what is
wrong.
going on?
This
He doesn't
man
even finish
spends
the first one.
this man spends 1/4 of his professor income on cigarettes.
His local
Oh,
shop
man.
must love him.
Oh,
He goes in
yeah.
and he buys out like their entire stock of packs.
Yeah. Just give me the whole shelf. Give me the whole shelf.
That'll
I'll take it
last
home.
me for a month, right? The week.
Where is he fitting
A
all
day.
these cigarettes? I hadn't even thought about that.
Does he have a
How many
fucking
packs
bag
does
of
he have
holding?
on him?
Are
he's-
we seeing a resurgence of the 500 cigarettes? Is this what's going on here?
Yes, it is fueled by this one single programming professor.
He just opens up the pack, 500 cigarettes, and
He
just
is
one appears.
single-handedly propping up the cigarette economy in his entire local area. Just this one man. He is going to have every possible related nicotine disease and every
is-
single
he's gonna
possible
have all
cigarette
of his
related
cancer.
disease.
If he
He's
hasn't
going to
already
have
had-
all of the
Any character
cancers.
design.
His cancer's going to have cancer.
Out of all the
Yes.
character designs to put to him, I think that was the last one I would have expected.
He literally
I can't
just
recall.
looks he literally just looks like a slightly hip harem protagonist who's worn the same fucking fashion for the last 20 fucking years with no changes whatsoever.
I can't recall the last time I've seen main protagonist, but he's a chronic smoker. I don't think I could put that to literally anything.
Appearance
The
wise,
closest one I could think of was like Black Lagoon.
yeah,
Like that's the
everyone fucking constantly smokes in Black Lagoon, yeah.
that's the only
Oh,
one I
so
can
it's
think. But
even
this
worse,
character
'cause
basically
everyone
smokes the
does
same as every single character in a single episode of
Bro,
Black
he
Lagoon.
smokes them all under the table. He smokes them all under the
In
table. Absolutely
11
no
minutes,
doubt.
this guy does it.
I feel like if we
Visual
watched
episode of Black
more of
Lagoon.
this show, this dude would eventually start cramming as many as he could between his fingers and hitting them all at
It would
once.
be so fucking funny if the director just has a little gag just in a
Every
random
time
scene.
he starts a new one, it's just increasing one by one. That would
Like
have been pretty
he's
fun.
already smoking one and something spikes his stress. His tsundere not girlfriend with a 10-year age gap. We'll talk about that. His tsundere not girlfriend with a 10-year age gap starts fucking aggressively, obnoxiously flirting with him again. He's already got a cigarette. He's like, nope, not enough. Pulls out another one. He starts smoking two at once.
It's gonna be like that fucking image of like the dude just standing in front of
Oh,
his like
man.
fucking board with all the pins and stuff, and he's just smoking so many of them at once. Like, look, I need this. This helps me focus. It helps me do my work. I need to solve this. And he's just like, why do you have like 10 cigarettes in your hand? Don't question it. Let me do my job.
You gotta respect the process, man.
I imagine the amount this man smokes is like this gun. I took my time to find this because I knew I had it in my head. It's this fucking thing. These ye old flintlock rifles that had chains. This is the Treevy chain gun. It'd be fun to put this into post, but it reminds me of the fact like this man's going through them so fast. It's like one of these fucking things.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
I know they have like a pistol version of one of these. I just
I just
find
thought
it.
of something great. Somebody, not me, because I do not have the time to do this, but somebody, maybe it already exists, maybe we should try to look it up. Somebody needs to do an edit of this show where it's just every single cut where Saikawa starts another cigarette. Just to see how many
Oh,
fucking
man.
cities he smokes.
Like half
That
the
would have been great if we did a
episode-
full watch and added a cigarette counter.
This
it's
montage
like
of
those other reviews where they like, all right, let's add a counter for like every time something happens.
this
Counter for
this.
every time
All
I
right,
don't
we've
know.
talked
It
we've
depends
talked
how
enough
much
about his
growth
chain
they
smoking habits and how he'll be dead in 5 years.
He'll be dead in 5 minutes. We've talked about it that much.
So
He's already shoved a cigarette in like both his nose holes. He's got like 5 in his mouth, 2 in his fucking ears.
God damn it. So let's
Yeah.
So visuals overall, we all feel similarly. There's some lighting quirks. The overall visuals are pretty damn good, pretty solid, good backgrounds, good character designs for the most part. You know, it's all pretty grounded. Not very good direction in conversation scenes, and I'm gonna put this out there too. Not very good direction for a lot of the flashbacks and the scene transitions and that sort of thing. There's some weird ones. There's some ones I don't think it happens in episode 1. I don't think, but in episode 2 and 3, we have weird like Akiyuki Shinbo off kilter, like weird angle shots just thrown in there for absolutely no reason at all. This was sometimes done okay. I can't remember if I put notes on this or not. I probably did. But this was done okay a couple of times in like episode 2 and 3, because when you take a shot and you kind of like put it at a weird off angle like that, it's to unease the viewer. That's actually meant to enhance the viewing experience. It doesn't hit for everyone the same, but that's what that's supposed to do direction-wise. It's supposed to make a scene feel off kilter because it's literally misaligned.
Whole thing's off kilter.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the direction right now, dude. We're gonna get to the really crazy shit. Starting now, actually. Starting now. I think we've harped on about the animation long enough. Let's talk about the well, let's do the characters and like the plot together. We'll talk about the characters and the plot kind of chronologically, starting off with episode 1. So this show opened on a pretty crazy scene where we're like in the professor's brainscape, correct? If I remember correctly, isn't that how the show starts out? Yeah. So that was an interesting scene. You forget about it very quickly because what happens is we go from a scene where we're going through where the professor's talking about he's talking about like the philosophy of existence and all this super weighty shit, and he's talking about, I think there's some programming mixed in there. I don't know. It was way too much for my ass to remember. but it's got like crazy direction with like brainscapes and like tripping on acid type shit at times. It's all very esoteric and vague, and that scene is gone pretty quick. I'd say in like a minute or so, and then we are just straight into the professor's weirdly big office. He's got an office that's like 4 times larger.
He has an office that's bigger than my fucking room.
Oh yeah, it's like as big as like 2.5 of my room. it's huge. He's got like a whole, like, what would you call it? He's got like a fucking living room type area with like 3 couches and a coffee table. He's got a huge desk with a computer and like all his cigarette butts and like clutter and mess and shit in the back by the window.
There's a section for like a kitchen and shit.
Yeah, there's a fucking catering area with a coffee machine and stuff back there. Like, I guess this is maybe where he teaches class sometimes or whatever. Maybe this is where he does study halls or shit. It's clearly meant to look like a pretty high budget, pretty high class, like college office classroom space or whatever. And the lighting is super fucking dark in this scene, which I guess is.
How much would you like to see?
Which I guess is supposed to be characterization for the professor. You know, it's like this guy is definitely a programming professor because all the lights are fucking turned off. He's being illuminated by a monitor in a dark room, which is fucking hell on your eyes, but he's doing it anyway. And he's
sitting there dissociating.
Yep, he's sitting there dissociating and spacing out and smoking cigarettes. And then enter the specimen.
Gillsfish.
That's what we're going with. Okay.
I literally just went with the first word that came to mind. Yep.
The creature.
The main lead female, who is this 19-year-old, kind of uppity, very, very, I'm not going to say entitled, kind of spoiled.
Very sheltered.
Yeah, she's
actually rich. Brat.
Yeah, she's bratty. She's very tsundere. She really she's really borderline addicted to her professor's attention and goes in there and just starts talking, and she just keeps coming up with more shit to talk about, and eventually, after like 6 minutes of whatever random programming professor nonsense these two felt like discussing, my brain edited it out. It was not plot relevant. After like probably 6 to 8 minutes of that shit, we finally get halfway through the scene. It's a very, very long scene. We get to the actual plot relevant shit, which is that this tsundere, her name is Moe, okay? Her name is literally Moe. She's called Moe because she's Moe. It's like that. We're gonna see that again in a minute. She starts talking about this interview she got with this really famous, like, probably the smartest woman alive, this genius programmer named, would it be Doctor? Did they call her Doctor? I can't remember. I can't believe.
I don't even remember.
Anyway,
This is not a very
this lady's
memorable-
name is Magata, and she's secluded away on a fucking private island laboratory, locked in a room, and Moe, using her rich girl connections, manages to get an interview with her, and she goes in there and has this long, honestly pretty interesting interview with her. It's weird. They stick her in this white isolation chamber with a big TV screen, and she stands on a fucking
even.
and she stands on a fucking like weird white sci-fi speech pedestal and talks to this Magata character, and they
like a weird podium in the middle of a room with 3 screens, and it looks like she's locked up in a psych ward too.
Yeah, and the direction's a little bit
Probably should
sporadic
be.
here because it keeps going back between. Oh, here's scene we were in with Moe and the professor, whose name I'll remember eventually. Okay, I just call
I
him,
don't.
I just call him the
Hattery,
professor because that's what he is.
Psychola last name.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I believe.
Yep, sounds right. But anyway, the direction flips back between the two a little too much, but the interview scene itself is pretty budget but pretty interesting. They like to use this really claustrophobic close-up shot on Moe's face at a weird angle being illuminated by a computer screen. And that's like her reaction shot. And then it will flip back around, and in Magata, her reaction shot is just a fucking monitor that Moe is presumably looking at. The room is weird.
Yeah, but-
The interview is even weirder. The woman that's being interviewed is even weirder than anything previously mentioned. The whole thing is kind of bizarre and off-kilter, and just kind of makes you feel curious but also uncomfortable at the same time, which is
It makes you
probably...
sit there and wonder what the hell is going on.
There's some weird shit happening here. But yeah, what's immediately interesting is like Professor Psychoa, I'm gonna assume... Let me look at your notes. Yeah, you're right. Good memory, Wraith. You're right. Professor Psychoa
I wrote it down for a
has-
reason, I tell you.
has the most expected programming professor personality ever, which is antisocial, disassociative, probably got some social anxiety in spite of being a professor, chain smokes like a fiend, probably not in the best of health. Yeah, pretty stereotypical programming professor for sure. I've met a couple of them. Yeah, he fits the bill for sure.
Don't forget, he always has one eye covered with his thick ass hair.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it doesn't get a haircut. Yeah, that definitely goes with the territory. Yep. Oh man, and then we have Moe, who is doing I don't even know what kind of fashion this would qualify as. Okay, I'm a nerd, not a fucking fashion designer. I don't know what fashion this shit was, but she's got like the mismatched stockings and the polka dots and the complementary colors, and her outfit is bright and poppy and effeminate. You know. She definitely has got that main girl energy, probably more than she needs, honestly. She's almost like
You're looking for
overcompensating with her
It
fashion
feels
sense.
like it's almost a little much.
Let's talk about Moe a little more. Like how help me out, co-hosts. My brain is slowly draining of caffeine. What's the best way to describe her character in simple terms? Because obviously tsundere,
I have
colorful.
my only
Pick me,
my
girl.
terms are she's a bratty brat student and wants attention from senpai.
I've described it in 3 words. It's a pick me, girl.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think there's any other more concise way.
That'll work. I'll take it. That'll work. So now let's talk about Magata. How the fuck do we even describe this woman? I think she's human. I'm pretty sure.
Listen,
We can
I
assume.
was assuming. At the same time, I thought she looked a bit off during her interview with Moe.
Oh, she definitely looks like she
Very-
hasn't slept in about 2 years. That's definitely true.
It looks like she doesn't even know what sleep is.
Ken,
I
I'm sure
imagine
that's
that
on
happens when you're
purpose.
locked in a box for years on end.
Oh dear lord.
Locked in a box for 15 years.
And
She's
all
that
you
much of a
do
shut-in.
is program and shop on the internet. Wild.
Program, look at hentai.
I mean, let's be real. She's a genius level programmer who gets no human interaction at all. You know for a fact she going all kinds of crazy.
Listen, the 9 out of 10 programmers are giant perverts.
And
If it's
also
a guy,
fans.
you know damn well. They're wearing stockings. And if it's a girl, well, you know damn well she's got a toy box.
Yeah.
That's just how programmers are.
That's just how they are, man. That's just how they are. So, Magata's got kind of a borderline antagonistic personality. I don't mean that in terms of her role in the narrative necessarily. I mean that in terms
It was
of her
just the
actual
energy she gave off with
personality.
that, like that whole interview. Felt like they were lining her up to be like,
Oh
"I'm
yeah,
going to
her
murder
and
you."
Moe definitely do not get along super well, because we have two very smart young women, basically genius level, and they just I think if I remember right, Magata is the one who starts it, but the two just start getting a little catty and going back and forth at multiple points during this interview. Like
Yeah, they had a little bit.
it's
They
interesting
started
to
really
watch.
at the black-haired one was talking about the professor. Then Moe got a bit defensive there.
Mhm.
I don't remember her name.
You're just describing any time any character who isn't Moe tries to talk to the professor, dude.
Literally
Yeah,
every
fair enough.
interaction.
Magata's got like this sort of weirdly antagonistic personality. She's like turbo rational. She's got the like stereotypical genius kind of vibe coming off of her. She does feel a little crazy, a little unhinged for sure. She asks some interesting questions a couple of times. The viewer immediately gets the impression that she's a little bit off kilter, definitely giving off the genius vibes for sure. So that was all pretty well done.
She needs to touch some grass. That's what she needs to do.
And,
And then probably touch
she's,
a mat.
you're not wrong, dude. She's been locked in a room for 15 years. But
I feel like you'd gain some form of psychosis.
the whole show, right? The whole script does a very good job of making Magata as mysterious and questionable as possible, because we find out pretty quick the rumor, the unconfirmed rumor, is that she managed to avoid prison, but they locked her ass in this room for safety reasons because she is accused of murder. She is rumored to be a murderizer, and so they managed to, through probably money and connections and influence and shit,
Well,
managed to avoid her
wasn't
getting
any murder in
imprisoned. But they went and locked her up in there, which is more or less just admitting to it, you know, that they think she's such a questionable human being that they're going to voluntarily lock her up and keep her away from
They're
society.
literally like, we don't care if like she did it or not. She's invaluable to the science community. It's like, yeah, okay,
You did patricide.
you
Did
know,
what-
casually.
whatever she fucking did, dude.
Girls just want to have fun.
That is a quote for the ages right there.
You're welcome.
Girls just want to have fun.
God forbid a woman does a little killing.
I do not endorse the opinions of my co-host and guest right
No,
here.
this is clearly satire. I do not recommend doing any of this.
Yeah, please do not murderize.
That. There's some crazy bitches out there you need to disclose.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right, so there's a bunch of side characters. They can all best be described as programming student and programmer.
I think the
they're
only
realistically
one of note, I
portrayed.
believe, showed up either beginning of episode 2 or the end of episode 1, and it was the two that just kept popping out. I believe that was episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
There was 2 of them that I know I pointed out, and I was like, wait, what's this whole side bit they've got running? And they did it like 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was the second episode.
Yeah.
You'd have something explained, and then, what's that? I'll tell you later. And they did that 3 times? Why?
Oh, you're right.
I don't
The two students did do that repeatedly. Yeah, I thought that was realistic, but a bit annoying.
It only got funny because I was like, oh my god, we're reusing the same bit again. It just, the more absurd it got, the funnier it was because
I
of the
see
absurdity.
these people are nothing if not
The
consistent.
NPC Skyrim guard.
Have you heard of the High Elves?
They've got
Used to be
curved
good, like,
swords.
Not even Skyrim, it's like Oblivion Guard. Is there anything else we need to mention about the first one? I don't think
episode
we've
1
missed
is
any of the
pretty
important
damn
details.
straightforward. No, let's continue with the plot. So getting into episode 2, what happens is Moe is basically like, I'm gonna take everyone on a class trip, and we're gonna go to this island lab where they do programming shenanigans, and Dr. Magata's there in a locked room, and we're all gonna
We're
go
just
there.
casually gonna go to the island. No big deal.
Mm-hmm.
I depending on how picky you are with your scripts, this qualifies as a minor plot hole, open-ended variety. It is not explained how they managed to pull this off, other than Moe is rich and well-connected, and that's it.
It's rich, well-connected. It has a trunk full of ice cream.
Yup, the ice cream. Can't forget the ice cream.
You can't forget
And
ice cream.
everyone is staring, just like, what is going on? Like they've never seen the concept of spoiled rich girl.
They really haven't seen.
Well, they probably
levels
just
of
didn't know that
bitches.
this girl was super loaded. They probably didn't know.
Which
Not
is
to mention, she rolled
also
up
even funnier.
with sunglasses and an umbrella. It's
The
Which
fucking
only
look
makes
the
it
part.
even funnier that
The
everyone
fucking
was
umbrella, dude.
just complete disbelief that there was a butler, which brings about our great side joke of, well, what's a butler? I'll tell you later. Like,
God fucking damn it.
you don't know what a butler is?
the rich bitch rolled up in a car, and then the butler pulls up in another. They carry
In a
all of her
separate car.
things.
She drives up with her nice and fancy car, doesn't even pack it with like anything at all.
You know,
And then he just pulls up with the actual stuff.
you
just
know,
like,
you
"I'm here."
two are kind of winning me over to this rich bitch angle you've been pushing this whole podcast, where it's just like, no, you
That's
know
what
what?
she
Now that you
is.
mention it,
She is
now
a
that you
bratty
mention
rich
it,
bitch.
she did bring all this shit and then be like, okay, everyone, please unload my shit, thank you, and then stood there with
Yes,
her
she does
fucking
nothing.
parasol and did
You guys
nothing.
can help me with unloading my stuff. Like, lady.
She proceeds to do nothing. Only thing she
just
does
sits
is
around,
throws away her good umbrella somewhere, and that's all.
goes to God knows where.
Then the little scene between the
Why-
professor and the butler, which was stupid.
What
Like,
is with the
this
anime
sequence is
Ojo-sans and their fucking weird, colorful outfits and their parasols? Why? Why?
I don't know.
It's certainly a trope. It has to be.
Oh, it definitely is. I don't think I've seen a single rich bitch in anime that didn't have a parasol in at least one episode. I don't think I've ever seen it. Now
You
that
gotta
mention
protect
it.
that dainty skin. Keep
don't
it
know.
fresh.
I don't
Juicy.
know. I have
At least
no idea.
from that whole bit, we had one of the better side characters, the butler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
He
fat
only
roll
showed
boy.
up like once, but I rather liked his little bit that he had.
Yeah, he goes up, talks to the professor, whispers in his ear for some reason, even though they're all half a country mile away.
You know, they're all
No, they have-
down by the water side. They're easily like a good 100 or so feet away.
Here, come here,
And they
Professor.
go
We
that
got
close
we
to
got to
each other.
gossip as
After-
conspicuously as possible. Hold on.
Speak quietly. Anyone could be listening. They're literally
And
standing way
then
over
the
there.
only
They can't
thing-
hear us. Need to
The only
speak
thing he
quiet.
told him was, make sure you take care of the lady. Lady. It's like, yeah, that's my job. I'm a professor.
Like,
It's almost
that's
like it's
literally
in
my
my title.
responsibility.
The
No,
dumbest
I-
shit.
I think that scene was crammed into the script to establish that the professor is aware that Moe is into him, and that he's not. That's literally the whole reason for that scene's existence, and it was just not adapted into the anime very well at all. They had to just sometimes
He was the
anime
unstoppable
do
force.
that.
He was the immovable object.
Yeah, sometimes they'll have weird little dialogue scenes where two characters go and have their weird little conversation off away from whatever plot is actually supposed to be happening, and everything else just kind of waits for them to be done. Not very good direction, but it's common. It's common in a lot of
Plot can
anime.
wait. We will put the plot on hold.
Yep, there's some shows that I can remember that do this particularly bad, but we don't care about that.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about the perfect.
This show's done it so many times in the first 3 episodes, and still only made it to 11 and completed the story. I don't know how.
Yep, I didn't look up if it's an anime original ending. It could be, but I don't think so. I don't think so. I'll talk about that briefly later. That's not relevant because we're only talking about the first 3 episodes. So anyway, first half of episode 2 is Moe pulling up and being a rich bitch and having everyone unload her shit for her, and her being like, wow, I've never had any of this peasant food before, even though I'm 19 years
never
old and
had
I've been going to this
yakisoba.
college and presumably eating college food this entire time. But I've never had any of this normal Japanese peasant food. Typical cliche rich girl
Peasants.
stuff. So I guess she's a mixture of Ojo-san and Tsundere with a little sprinkle of manic pixie dream girl in there for good measure. There you go. I described her using only tropes. You're welcome.
She's
done
just
the
a
impossible.
crazy rich bitch.
Yeah, but so and then the second half is the professor and Moe sneak off and manage to talk their way into this facility and nab themselves a little stupid middle of the night tour, which of course is fine because of course everyone's awake, even though it's probably like 11 p.m. or midnight or whatever.
Easily.
Because
It's easily
because
late.
everyone
They
is a
didn't start out.
hardcore professional programmer or a programming student, so of course no one is asleep.
Nobody knows the
Which
concept
is-
of normal sleep.
Which is so, yeah, that's
I mean,
accurate.
we don't.
That's accurate. Okay, but we're nerds. Okay, of course not. So then, the second half of episode 2 is them touring the facility, and then at the end of episode 2, we get a bombshell, where
Surprise plot development.
they are standing one room off from the sealed Dr. Magata room, you know, from her sealed room, and they start to have a glitch. The lights start glitching out, which is presumably part of the system glitch, because the whole lab is ran by a voice activated AI basically. And the system is glitching out, and so the lights are like going nuts and stuff. And the door slow opens Star Wars style, and out of this big locked door, this fucking lady with these dead, I want to say they're green, right? With these dead green eyes, slowly just slinks out of this fucking room with all these blinking lights and all these people there to witness it. In a fucking wedding dress, and just keeps going and slinks on past everybody. And then a moment later, the glitch stops. No one's sure what's going on, and somebody walks up, and this is a corpse. This is the corpse.
Yeah, this was the guy
of
from the other
Magata.
side too.
She's dead.
Someone else was nowhere near.
She's dead.
She's
He looked
almost
up, he was like, what the
legless.
fuck going
She's
on?
dead.
She's dead on a motorized cart with no limbs and a wedding dress. Holy
And
shit.
no blood. And
Yep,
rotting.
and she's estimated. I don't remember if this is beginning of 3 or end of 2. They just move right along.
Like 3
But they-
days old.
the corpse is about 3 days old. It's
Was it 3
shockingly
or like
clean.
5 days?
It was
I think
3,
it was somewhere
I
within
think.
that number.
It was odd. I remember that much.
With an
I
odd
just
number
remember-
for certain.
She'd been dead multiple days. She had no limbs. There was no blood anywhere. And she's just somehow in a wedding dress and rolls out on this cart. Absolutely wild. Now,
I don't know how the
obviously,
corpse
this
doesn't tip over.
was. Don't think about it too much. There are explanations, but all the explanations are gross, and I don't want to contemplate them. But so anyway, the whole thing is kind of gross. Honestly, it's gross. It's shocking. It's sudden. Honestly, one of, if not the best directed scene in the whole show. Really well directed. Really creepy. Really off-putting.
Yeah,
Totally
reminded
comes
me
out
of
of
an old,
nowhere
like,
and
horror
surprises
movie
the
set.
shit out of you. Yep.
Literally hit in the face by
Yep.
the metaphorical sack of bricks.
Maybe that's what this director should do. Maybe he should stop directing normal fucking anime and he should go direct exclusively fucking psychological horror shows. 'Cause I feel
John
like he would-
Carpenter, we got the guy for you, buddy.
I feel like he would do well in that field. I don't know this director's name off the top of my head. That's beyond the scope of this podcast. But I will say this guy would do well if he wanted to make more horror anime, because it's a darn good horror scene. And then we immediately get into episode 3 where they investigate this corpse, obviously. And
Not
it's-
forbid to go into the room because they closed the room. They're like, the killer's still in there.
yeah, but that statement itself doesn't make any sense, because there's only
'Cause
one
they
way
immediately
in and
just
one
proved
way
that own
out.
Statement literally
They have
5 minutes later, not even.
24/7 live camera feed, presumably automated security, and they have multiple security guards on the premises, at least 2 of them, who are keeping an eye on all of this shit, on top of everything else. So there's no way anyone could have got in there to do all this crazy shit. Yep, we got 2 episodes of lore and fucking around, and then finally, at long last, the real plot begins. Limbless woman genius who's been dead for days somehow in a wedding dress, who came out of a locked room. This is a you'd call it like a locked room or a closed room murder mystery. This is an old school mystery trope. However, the spin on it they do on this one is particularly interesting, and it's twofold. Because number one, not only has no one been in this room recently, right? No one but her has been in this room for 15 years. So that's wild.
So it is basically almost next to impossible for someone
Yeah.
to just walk
Yep.
in.
Yep. Well, presumably, as the professor and Moe both agree on pretty quickly, they think it essentially is impossible, and yet something has clearly happened. But like, they in episode 3, I think towards the end, they start going through camera feed and stuff, trying to figure out what's happening and all this shit.
They ask the guards, like, how do we get items in here? They mention how
Yeah.
they do deliveries for items.
And for the sake of the 3-episode test we did for this show, that is all the relevant details, is that there is seemingly no fucking way this could have happened.
I feel like we also have to
especially since
mention
the end of
that
episode
they
3
had to
really
keep the
snapped
nerdy
them up.
science aspect.
Now,
They were like, hey, so here's how we put things into the room. And then they're like, how do we keep this nerdy? Oh, let's have her completely calculate the cubic diameter of this shit, like, on the spot. And it's like, what the fuck, lady? You did that in real time? Like, okay.
I mean, it's fine, it's fine. It's
It
kind
was
of
just
cliche.
very sudden.
It's kind of cliche to just have characters look smart by randomly interjecting with smart things. I've seen it done far worse. There's an anime that neither of you have probably seen. It's called Be the Beginning. It's a godforsaken 2010s Netflix-funded, Netflix original anime, right? This show, this is not really a spoiler, because they do this the whole show from episode 1. They've got like a mad scientist genius type character who is basically like he's kind of like the professor, only even more unhinged and crazy. That's the best way to describe this guy. But the
He's
show
always
just
110%.
the show does
caffeinated.
his the show does that his characterization in the most cliche way you can possibly imagine, where it makes him like, I'm not going to be insensitive and call him like wildly autistic or anything like that, which doesn't even fit anyway. He's just kind of mildly insane and does weird shit randomly. I think it's supposed to be for
Conspiracy
comedy
theorist.
most of the time. No, he's a little too smart to be a conspiracy theorist, because he's a genius. But nah, like, I'm not going to give specific examples in case anybody wants to go watch that. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not any better than this show. In fact, I'd say it's worse than this show. But I mean, I still won't
Worse?
spoil it. But it was like characterizing that guy as like using crazy math calculations and doing wild, on the spot, like Batman or like Sherlock levels of super cheesy, I'm gonna go into my brain for a second and I'm gonna turbo calculate this entire crime scene and everything that happened over the course of a week in about 50
Jimmy
seconds.
On brain
And then I'm
blast
gonna
level.
mentally regurgitate it all over the other characters and confuse the fuck out of them and then run off. It's incredibly cliche. This show is not that bad, but it still does that same cliche where it's like, oh, we're gonna randomly talk about super complex topics, or we're randomly gonna do fucking on the spot math, and not only are we gonna do on the spot math, but we're gonna do it really fast just to establish, wow, these people all have IQs well above 130. Gotta make that really clear. Oh man.
For all of you who weren't paying attention at home.
Yep. It again, it's not egregious, but it is noticeable, and I will knock the script for it. It's a little much. They could have just had characters go back and forth. Since this is a very talky show, as a murder mystery was always going to be, right? It's always going to be a very talky show. They could just had them naturally just go back and forth, and just through the course of conversation, just make it very clear to the viewer and the audience, yep, these two are real fucking smart, and they're gonna bounce off each other like that. That's a whole theme of this show, really. That's one of the underlying themes, is like the theme of like portraying genius people who are truly totally different from the norm and approach problem solving in the world totally differently. We only get a
They're
little bit of
certainly
that
different.
in these first 3 episodes. So now we got to talk about
Yeah, that was about mid.
now we got to talk about the other half of episode 3, which is going to be particularly fun because Wraith, this is why you decided to drop the show.
Oh yes.
So there
Yes,
is a running theme in this show of morally questionable romantic relationships, and in particular morally questionable romantic relationships with younger women. Essentially, lusting is a strong word here, maybe, but younger women being very, very interested in significantly older men, and the show, in what I thought was interesting, not perfect, but interesting direction, where we actually rapidly flick between a flashback from Magato's perspective, where she is. Again, these are minor spoilers, but this is first 3 episodes. That's what we do on this podcast. Is first 3, do we like it, do we not, should you watch it? And in episode 3 here, we flip back and forth between Moe being all borderline flirty and super clingy with the professor, and then we flick back from their conversation to a flashback with Magata, where she is pretty hardcore going after her uncle. Pretty hardcore.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It was a little uncomfortable.
that was a bit too much.
And that is a very, very important plot point here, and I would call it a central theme, especially of this first story arc of the show, where we have a parallel where we have 2 very, very genius level young women who go after two much older guys. And I think it's to establish similarities between Moe and Magata, but also to establish contrast and differences, where really the main difference between these two is not intelligence or personality or anything. The main difference is that Moe has much more restraint and I guess morality or whatever you want to call it, and Magata doesn't. And is just genuinely.
Don't forget that at the
unhinged.
same time they were showing off the scenes with Magata, they were interjecting more of the interview that they were holding out on in the previous episode.
Oh yeah, they were doing that, weren't they?
They interjected this to show how Moe was doing the exact same thing, because I know I wrote this down in my notes.
Yep.
And they were like, she was like having a whole conversation like, oh, when would you show interest in this? And I don't know. It's like, answer the goddamn question. And I think we eventually got it boiled down to she was in 5th grade and the professor was giving a fucking lecture.
Yep. Which is right around the same
5th
age.
grade.
Yep, which is right around the same age that Magata was lusting after her uncle. So you're right. They
doubled down on it.
It is made very, very clear that these two, though it's not immediately obvious by episode 3, it's very clear and not subtle that these 2 young women are strikingly similar. But
and there's something very much wrong with both of them.
Yes, but the difference being that I guess you could say Moe is high functioning and Magata is definitely very low functioning, not doing too great in
You say that
society.
because of what occurred at the end of episode 2. Certainly say low functioning at that point.
No, I say that because of the flashback in episode 3, which let's not spoil that just yet, where certain things happen that are very
Things
plot
that are not
relevant and
safe for anyone to know.
very questionable. And anyway, so the highly morally questionable, very disturbing and off-putting incestuous relationship between Magata and her uncle of massive age gap, which this shit starts when she's like fucking 13, I think. The whole thing was
exactly when she
unhinged.
was like 13.
The whole thing was unhinged and crazy enough to ultimately sway you into dropping this by, I would you say just barely, or were there other major reasons, Wraith?
I think purely that alone is why, because I was like, okay, we've got an interesting concept here. I like all this, but like they threw that one bit into the plot, and I was like, I don't feel comfortable with this anymore.
The themes are a little too much, little too dark and messed up.
I would say I was comfortably, within the. I would still continue to watch this, and then they threw that, and it's like a complete 180 from like maybe like a 50% still wanting to watch it to a negative 50% get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah, no, he threw both hands up and he's like, nah, ignore incest tag, pretty please. Ignore underage tag too. Nope, get me out of here. Get me out of here.
Block and do not repost. Block and do not repost.
All right. So we've established why you decided to drop this show. I think that's the perfect time to establish why you decided to drop the show, Brando.
For me, mostly it was pacing.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying my damnedest not to fall asleep.
Yep.
That was the big
We did
thing.
mention
Like,
that, especially with the first episode.
Oh yeah,
Like, it's
show's
bad,
got
but
serious pacing issues.
even though it was on like a more, oh, the murder happened, it was still like, what the fuck, slow. And I had it at 1.5 times speed, and it was slow enough to make me want to pass out.
Yep, he had it as high as 1.5 times, and it was still slow. That's how if you use one of these newer, we've only had these players a couple years. I don't remember when Crunchyroll introduced theirs. I think they were first. Even with these new modern anime players, if you start turning the speed up and you just keep cranking up the playback speed and you just keep being bored, you got serious pacing problems with that show. So yeah, that's gonna be first major complaint with this cast here today. We're gonna say the themes are a little too dark and grim and heavy.
Little on
and
the extreme.
Morally questionable. The themes and characterization are a little bit too extreme, especially for the we won't call her the villain, but we'll call her the potential antagonist / questionable character in here of Magata was too much for Wraith, and I do not blame him at all. So that
it would have been fine if they left it with like that first like interaction in the car, and they kind of implied the thing and left it at that for you to connect and be like, oh, but they kept going into it, and I was like, we don't need to keep pushing this. I think we already get the idea.
Yep.
Like, the uncle said, oh yeah, I love being controlled by this little 13-year-old girl. I'm like, brother.
Yeah, I think he literally says right at the end of episode 3, I'm terrified but also infatuated with her, something to that extent. It's just like, okay.
No, we're hitting the abort button.
I see crazy runs in the family. That's nice.
Oh boy.
And then second major reason we're going to give for why we are dropping the show and not recommending it is all three of us agree, very, very slow pacing. Almost like snail's crawl level pacing, especially in episode 1 and most of episode 2. It takes this show.
They had to make it for that episode 11 status at least.
It took this anime its full 3-episode test to even introduce its first major story arc. It took 3 episodes just to get there, dude. And we're barely scraping the surface. 3 full episodes in, we're barely even getting into the actual plot. That is of a show that's only 11 episodes, by the way. So very, very slow pacing. And I'm gonna add a third as well here. I wouldn't call this a major reason, but I would definitely say it's pretty relevant. Other than just the themes and the pacing, I would definitely say the direction is a major turnoff for the show. I find the direction questionable at times, but I find it tolerable overall. I just don't. The direction for this show is really inconsistent and all over the place. There are certain scenes that I like, especially the horror ones and the ones that are supposed to be like really off kilter and just uncomfortable. Those are all good. I thought the shot composition was good. The transitions for these scenes were sometimes kind of experimental, the kind of jumping around with the flashbacks a little bit too much, but overall I liked that aspect of the direction. But the general direction overall is a little bit jumpy. It's a little bit all over the place. It's a very, very slow paced show. It's a very, very talky show. And viewers who are like me, who are either dub people, which I am, although I can watch sub when there's no dub or anything, or when the dub is terrible.
The sub guy.
Yep. The sub.
I was reading at 1.5 times speed.
Yep. If you've got ADD brain like I do, or you just don't like subtitles, both are true for me. Okay. And you don't want to read a whole giant fuckload literal novels worth of subtitles, that you're probably not gonna jive with this show. I'll include that as well.
The pacing is especially noticeable with the direction and pacing are both intertwined, especially because anything outside of the plot, it's like, what is going on with these shot compositions? Why does it feel like it's a drag? But then it's like it feels like it was like a later addition. Like they worked on it later. They worked on their main plot points, and they're like, all right, keep the pacing, bam, 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 bam. We need to keep this concise, keep people intrigued, guessing at every turn. But then they get to like the extra bits in between, and it's like, what's going on? Are we taking a nap?
Yes, Demon was taking a nap.
Originally-
It's certainly
like,
it's the
originally,
equivalent
I thought it
of
was
taking a
supposed to
shot of
life
espresso or something. You take that shot of espresso, you're like, "Ho!" and then it runs out, and then you're just back to what you were before.
And then the whole show is on caffeine crash mode, moving about 5 miles per hour.
until you take the other shot of espresso. Like it's interjected. It's like random short bursts of fast pacing to suddenly die off again. We also did forget to mention one other pretty important development of the third episode.
Yeah, the final scene.
There's
of the
another
helicopter.
character that shows up, and another plot point happens beyond that. We forgot about the last third.
Good
of
catch.
The third
Go ahead and
episode.
talk about that while I pull this up. Yeah.
Oh man. So conveniently, after everyone's sitting around trying to figure out how could this have been done, what is going on, we are told, even well before this, that the director of the facility was coming with the younger sister of Magata. And so it takes from that initially, like halfway through episode 2, you see the helicopter go over as they're going to the facility the entire time. And it takes until the near end of the third episode, so that is a whole episode between, where we finally get to see she's here. And so she comes down, and then they, in all of their wisdom, like, you want to see a dead body and just have her fucking look at it?
Hey, kids want to see a dead body.
For some reason. And then, lo and behold, everyone's back to figuring things out, and they're like, guys, the helicopter! And then the director is also fucking dead.
Yeah.
So
I mean, murder really isn't
it's
that
like, what is going on? The person is dead. We thought we had them in the room, but now someone else is dead. So it starts begging the question of what the hell is going on here?
Yep. That's
And it's especially fun because at this point, you can figure out the whole mystery. It's fun because
gonna do
me
that
and Matt
next.
spent about 10-ish to 15 minutes.
just discussing that.
He gave me some light nudges, but I managed to piece together the entire mystery,
Which
of which I will
consequently,
not say anything.
Brace yourself because you get to go through this activity next, Brando, but not yet. We're not ready for spoilers just
This
yet.
will be for after.
Yeah, this will be the after show, which will be.
This will be the after show. We do not wish to spoil too much of the plot.
Let's
here.
actually do the overviews part of the anime overviews podcast, shall we? That was a good catch.
Yes.
My
The-
tired.
You almost forgot. You almost lost the plot. This was more of a review than an overview.
Yeah. Yep. Well, it's
Someone
supposed
has
to be a
keep
review.
things in line.
We'll get better at overviewing as we do more of these. For episode 1, I'm comfortable with it being longer and requiring a bit more editing. That's
Episode
fine.
1 is the trial. Episode 2 should be much more fleshed
All
out.
right, I have it pulled out, and
maybe.
let me. I
Ooh.
really need to
What do you
put this in
mean,
like a.
maybe?
I need to put this somewhere you
I don't
guys
know.
can actually see.
I get
it.
distracted
There
pretty
we go.
easily.
If anything, I will have to be the one to keep
All right,
everything
can
on
everybody
rails,
can
and
everybody
so
see
be
the
it.
actual overviews?
Yes.
All right, we have finally made it to the overview section of the Anime Overviews podcast, and now we are finally, after over an hour, way longer than I thought this would take, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised. That's fine, whatever. It's finally time to place our very first anime. We started Supreme, gentlemen.
And I would think, for those that are not familiar with how we describe this list, we should do a short pass. Very quick,
Yes, we are
couple
going
of
to.
sentences to describe what each means.
Yep. We will quickly run through, and then we will discuss and place this show. All right. At the very top in the blue here, we have Jack of All Productions. This is an anime that is good at literally everything and makes few mistakes, if any. Just absolutely fantastic across the board. We're talking like 9 or 10 out of 10 comfortably. Underneath that, we have godlike production, which is similar but a bit more focused. This is an anime that is extremely, extremely good in all professional aspects, particularly in animation and direction. We're talking amazing fights, godlike cinematography, fantastic script. Something about the show truly is standout and blows you away. Next, we have Green, the respectable spicy tier. These are a little bit more, we'll call them focused and specific. Starting off with actual plot. Actual plot's a fun one. This is specifically a slot reserved for anime that have absolutely fantastic scripts and absolutely fantastic narratives. This is a show that maybe weakens some of their aspects, but you don't really care too much about that when you're actually watching it because it is fascinating and deeply interesting. Next, we have eye
The one
candy.
time you're allowed to say, I follow for the plot.
Yeah. Now we're going to talk about following for the other plot.
Yes.
The one that some people
important
try to
two
preview.
plot.
Yeah, next under spicy, we have eye
Sometimes
candy.
multiple plots.
This is completely self-explanatory, except the only part that needs explaining is this refers to fan service.
Eye candy.
So eye
it.
candy is the rare ecchi / fan service anime that is actually good. This is where it would go right here in eye candy. Maybe it's not the smartest thing in the world. Maybe it probably has some issues. There's probably some budget knowing ecchi anime, you know. That's okay because guess what? It does a good job for once. That's what eye candy is. Next, finally, last and spicy, we have The Cutoff / needs a sequel. I may rename this one later because it doesn't really roll off the tongue, but that's okay. And for Cutoff, this is completely self-explanatory. This is a show that you really like, but it ends abruptly, probably on a cliffhanger, or otherwise it needed another season and it didn't get it. Otherwise, really good. Really good. And you know, this is anime we're talking about, so y'all know that needed its own special spot on this chart. Because a lot of
And then
anime
you're
do
left
a lot
this.
of animes
sad and
just talk
empty
about
and a
12
husk of who you
episodes.
originally were.
Yep. All right, gentlemen, we've made it to the okay
The one shot.
tier. One shot. This tier is called that specifically because it's worth watching, but only once. Top of one shot, we've got Poorly Paced. This is a show that is enjoyable
Yep,
and fun to
this show.
watch, but in particular, the pacing is bad. The show is either too fast or too slow, and that will bother some viewers. This was mostly put on here for me because I'm very, very pacing sensitive. But yeah, so this is a show that's too fast
Pacing
or
is
too
always-
slow, but otherwise is acceptable. Next, we have unique / weird.
This show's very weird.
There's listen, if you're a normie, right, or otherwise if you're a green as grass little baby weeb that hasn't seen that much or only watches the really highly rated, really popular shows, you will have not seen a whole lot of weird anime. I am here to tell you, as a very, very experienced veteran weeb of almost a decade, there is a ton of weird anime out there. Unique category is where this is stuff that some people will probably like watching, especially the more otaku-esque, very experienced viewers, or people who just like weird stuff will appreciate shows like this. It's probably got a lot of problems because it's fucking weird, but overall, we recommend it because it's weird. That makes it interesting. Finally,
It has
third
the
part of
unique-
One Shot, we have Messy. This is completely self-explanatory. We still recommend the show, and we still think it's worth watching at least once, probably only once, but it's got problems. It's messy, it's probably all over the place, it's gonna have shortcomings, it's gonna have flaws. You probably won't watch this one twice, but we still ultimately thought, maybe give it a try. Finally,
It
we
may
have...
look like you pulled it out the dumpster, but it's still pretty in its own right.
Still edible, maybe.
Well, maybe not
All
in terms
right.
of food.
Finally, in the
It's
yellow...
like the bad dresser you get.
Yeah. IKEA furniture.
We can call that yellow. We're reaching the Neapolitan zone.
Reaching the Neapolitan zone. We have meh, the most self-explained category on this whole
Meh.
entire list. This is super average shit. It's meh. Starting from the top, lacking substance. This is a show that maybe has interesting aspects to it, maybe it's well animated, maybe it's got some crazy direction, some interesting characters, maybe it's based off of a good source material, but god damn it, there is nothing there, dude. Narratively speaking, there
They
is
missed the
nothing
plot.
there. What plot? There isn't much of a plot if it ends up here.
They missed the plot that they failed to add.
Yeah, they forgot to script. Next, we have Total Indifference. This is meh incarnate. You feel nothing. You don't care that you just watched this. If you could get your time back, you would. You don't hate the
Yeah,
show.
pretty
You
much
don't like
this
the
one
show.
especially.
You don't care. You really wish
You're
you
left
hadn't watched
staring at
it.
your ceiling.
You don't care. Yep. Probably spaced out. Probably dropped it. Wish you hadn't watched
Probably
it.
just like, where am I? Who am I? What am I?
Not horrendously terrible, not particularly good, very average and thoroughly uninteresting. Finally, we have similar vein, but actually interesting, we have Scuffed. This is something that's kind of bad.
Scuff.
Kind of shit. Not the worst thing you've ever seen, but they definitely could have
Good
done
concept,
way
horrible
better.
execution.
Yep. They could have done way better with the execution. Not a very good adaptation. Now, we're getting into the fun ones. We have Smooth Brained. Herein what I think is supposed to be a brownish pink color. It's fine. It works, it's fine.
One of the colors of all time.
We have
Yeah, you
Rough
turn the
Drawn.
trash here to brown, but turn that one to red.
I'll mess with it later. We'll use as
This
is
is
for
all
now.
subject to change.
We'll use as is for now. Yeah, it is subject to change. I threw this together a while back when I first came up with this. So we will tweak. We will tweak based on feedback and based on experience. So finally, Smooth Brained, one of the fun tiers and also one of the bad tiers. We have at the top Rough Drawn.
One of the tiers.
This is
standard
completely self-explanatory in every way. This is a show that may have some redeeming qualities, but mostly it's just damn ugly. Very poorly produced, very bad use of budget. Probably wasn't much of a budget. They probably had to choose between making this anime and getting pizza, and they decided to anime those poor bastards.
I can go for
Doesn't
some
look
pizza.
good.
Right. Two for one pizza deal.
They done fucked up in the effort and budget department. We have another fun one. No, it's the opposite of fun. This sucks. We have Scriptastrophe. Scriptastrophe is when the gosh darn show is just written like garbage, dude. Terrible script, awful dialogue, nonsense narrative. Dear God, what did I just watch? What the hell did they write? This is an abomination. Finally, bottom of Smooth Brained, lazy staff or lazy production. I guess both, probably. This is also pretty
Could even be a
self-explanatory. This is a show that borderline insults you and wastes your time because, man, they did not put theirs into it. It's lazy, it's cheap, it's bad. They could have, in theory, done a much better job. This is specifically for shows that could have done better but didn't. You see the talent, there are little sparks of good, but overall, it's just lazy and disappointing. Finally, we
Much
have,
like life.
man, I hope we don't see a lot of these, but I had to make one. We
I
have
pray that we do not.
trash tier. I could make some stabs related to other anime podcasts here, but I'll refrain. I'll refrain for now. At the top, we have fan service failure. These are so common that I had to make them their own damn tier on Anime Overview's podcast. This is a show that has a bad budget or unskilled staff or was just thrown together as quickly as possible as a cheap cash grab. The show is clearly ecchi, right? It's clearly meant to be fan service. It's clearly the draw. But it looks bad. It looks really bad. Everything is drawn like crap. There is no good figure. There might be no figure at all. They tried and failed to make a fan service show, and let me tell you, that's really not that complicated. The failures end up here, in the trash, where they belong. Can you tell I'm passionate about this topic? I really
No,
don't
it's
like
not. It's in the
I really don't
slightest.
like
No, of course.
fan service shows that look like shit. I really dislike them.
If you're gonna do something, you gotta do it right. Like, come on.
Yeah, you're literally
keep
banking
people
everything
impressed.
on one particular style of
You're
anime.
banking on one factor, and you can't even do that right. Can you
And you
call
can't even-
yourself successful?
You can't even do the one thing right, dude. People would put up with an awful lot. That is the one thing you needed to do right, and you done fucked it up. All right, we have another fun-sounding but actually really awful one. We have in trash tier Mind Melting. This is a show that is so difficult to follow, that is so poorly written, that is so insufferably directed that it is headache-inducing. It hurts your eyes, and it hurts your brain, and it makes you upset and probably depressed. Not only was this show a
And
total
we'll probably
waste of
need a nap.
budget and talent, but it is just gonna make you hate watching it. Watching it is suffering. Why was this made? Why does this exist? Help. And at the bottom of trash tier, where it belongs.
I think it's my favorite one.
We have one that absolutely does require explanation. This is a unique term I coined years ago when I first started writing anime review pieces. Sandwich foo. I am so glad I came up with this. It's such a genius way of describing this. Sandwich foo is when you are watching a show and it is so bad and insufferable and terrible that it makes you start to rethink your life, become no longer able to tolerate the show's existence, and without even turning it off because you can't even bother to give that much of a fuck, you must get away immediately, go rethink your life, and probably go make yourself a meal, probably a sandwich. It is a very particular effect that only the truly unwatchable media can have on a viewer. It has to be truly abhorrent to be this bad. I've only gone through this a couple of times in my life. I wouldn't wish it on an enemy. It is awful to be trying and failing to weather something and have it go so wrong that you just gotta get up and fucking leave and rethink your life and go get some food or whatever, because damn, that was awful. That is sandwich foo, and those are our tiers. And I that took longer than I thought, so I will just either
Let's
make
just
a
get
little
right into it.
I will just make a little mini compilation of that people can go watch, and we will just get right into it in future episodes, because that took me like 10 minutes. Goddamn.
Yeah, that
This
was
can all be subject to change. This is
Yes,
the experiment.
and
after all.
this will change. We could potentially add more. Like, they don't have to be three. Three was just what I came up with, you know. There's only 2 for top tier, you know. So we will add more. We may tweak these. We will probably discuss and make some of these colors a little better. Maybe use some funny fonts. This is what we're working with for
Hopefully
this first
not
episode.
Comic Sans. Anything but Comic Sans.
Why would I do that to anyone?
If
You
you
should
put
do
it
that
at trash
to it.
tier, maybe.
Dude,
All right, I think we can unanimously agree we ain't looking at Supreme.
no.
No.
Not spicy, not one shot. You gotta
Not
start in
even
the meh.
I'd say it's a hard, like, between one shot and meh.
Yeah,
because
we
it's got pretty
definitely.
poor pacing. It is rather unique in the fact that it spins on the classic closed room trope.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other things that drag it down.
Yep.
Certainly
So-
not roughly drawn. I wouldn't say it's as
So-
much of a scriptastrophe. It's just
So we feel like
I don't
Smooth
know
Brained
if
is a
there's
bit
one
too
that's-
harsh, but we're definitely floating somewhere
Yeah,
up
too
above.
harsh. I'm leaning towards the meh. Mm,
I would say
I-
it's in there, but not the exact tier that I'm looking for, because
Okay,
I was
what are
mostly
you
off
looking
put
for?
by the
Wraith?
questionable script choices.
Okay.
I feel like it is
Questionable-
mostly that, but none of these really, because it's not that
Alright.
it lacks substance.
All
It's not
right,
that
we're gonna
there's a
do it.
total indifference.
We're gonna do it.
We're adding
What?
another one.
What do we want to call it? We're doing it live.
mm,
Oh, that is a wonderful question.
morally
This is for you,
questionable.
decide, since this is your list. Morally questionable, I think, is a good one.
We'll go
Like,
with it
there's
for
a
now,
portion-
and I'll see if I can come up with something a little bit spicier later.
Because it is that one aspect from the plot alone that has driven me away to it, because is only I think, especially in my notes, I took it down especially great.
All right, this
Is the
this
wonderful
one,
image.
this here, okay produced but pretty badly directed, and adapted from a questionable source
plot
material.
choices.
For me personally, I'll start, since, you know, I went through this whole thing and this is originally my list up until just now. We've finally started putting it through its paces. For me, this is between poorly paced up in one shot and morally questionable.
That's
for me.
exactly where I'm set.
Yep. So I am definitely putting it in meh, for sure. This is a meh show, which, for the record, audience, means we do not recommend it. That is where I'm going to put it. I would do not recommend this show. I would give it a meh. It is poorly paced and morally questionable. Brando, you want to go next?
I'm pretty similar, except I also had total difference.
All right. So you would definitely say it's poorly paced. Definitely qualifies there. Would you give it a messy?
Yeah, morally. It's. I would not say messy. I'd say total difference and morally questionable.
Okay. So poorly paced, totally indifferent to it, and you also think it's morally questionable. So,
Look,
totally
the
safe
point
to
when you
say.
got to the interest, I was just dead.
Yep. It had already fallen and broken its nose, metaphorically, before you even got to the 3 episodes for the final review. Great. Excellent. This does not surprise me at all, knowing your tastes. You honestly weathered it better than I thought you would.
Yeah, this genre is not even in my taste normally.
No, absolutely not. All right, I commend you for sticking with the podcast and giving it a shot, though. All right, Wraith, first guest, possible future co-host. Where?
And I know this is entirely my fault. I picked this because I was like, it's a mystery. I'm a
It's not your
sucker for
fault.
mystery.
We gave you a list of
No,
8 shows
you gave
and
me the
asked
list
you to
to choose
pick
from.
one.
I singled this one out because I found it to be quite intriguing. Because this is the one that called to me. And I had every choice to pick one that I knew would also be a little morally questionable. But I know it would have been good quality. And yet I didn't, and I still kind of regret it. But I can most certainly agree.
Yeah,
This
what
is
was the
poorly
dude that
played.
was
This
picking
poor
between
pacing.
there?
Oh, we'll talk about that after this. Let's get this
We will
placed.
get to that in a moment.
Let's get this
I can
placed.
agree. The pacing.
All right.
I was
Poorly
lost at
paced.
some points.
Yep.
It is rather unique in the fact that
Mhm.
it did do the spin on the trope.
Yep.
However,
Shh, this one.
the morally questionable bits. Otherwise, I would say this would have fit in a one-shot, if not for the doubling down on the morally questionable plot points that they decided to write into this to make their plot work. Had they not done that, I think it would have almost made it into one-shot territory.
I think
Because I'm a sucker
that is
for
fair.
it. I thought it was pretty all right. I was just very put off by
Yep.
how they went with the plot.
very fair assessment. Very fair assessment. So we are 3 out of 3 podcasters agree. Not recommended.
Unless you're into
Yeah.
weird shit, I guess, of which watch at your own discretion.
I mean, sure, you can
Even if
still
you're into
you can
weird
go
shit,
against
you're
our
probably
advice
better
to
off
watch
than-
the show. That's fine. Do what you want. It's your life. But,
Of course,
like,
this could have been like an important plot point for just that episode, and beyond this, maybe it's better. But for just the first initial 3 episodes, it seems to spiral.
spoiler alert, I've seen this show. It's not better. It's arguably worse. All right. Yeah, we do not
Yes,
recommend
and
this
we had a
show.
fun discussion.
Thank you so much for watching, whoever you are. You know, like I said earlier, leave us a comment. Let us know how you felt. We are aware of Brando's slight but noticeable mic issue. Yep. Thank you so
And
much
you
for
take
watching. I've already said my spiel. I just want feedback. That's it. That's all I would like. You know. And we are definitely going to keep going because this first episode definitely ran long, but I definitely feel good about this first episode. I think the discussions were good. I think the review is solid. I'm definitely down for episode 2. All right, Demon, you're next. Go ahead and give your piece. Tell the viewers whatever you'd like to tell them.
I like the bratty bitch, but at the same time, she's love struck. Can't enjoy her. Alright.
Okay, Wraith, send the viewers off.
We thank you all for your time here. As long as we love to rant, we find that there's a lot that is in the small details here. So for those of you that have stuck around, listen to us say completely incomprehensible things for probably a good majority of the time, we thank all of you. We welcome our feedback, we welcome criticism, and for that, we are thankful. I'm definitely looking forward to continuing this because this has been a great
Hell
inspiration
yeah.
to try and get back into watching shows. Because I noticed that before we started to sit down and record this, I was like, damn, I've kind of got that itch to watch a show again. And I think it's because you went out of the way, you dragged me into it, and I actually stopped putting off watching a show. It's just I need to find my show.
Yes, I've created another
It's mostly
weeb.
finding the show.
I've done
No,
it.
it was always there. It's just I lost the plot for my shows, so I was like, I just don't want to watch anymore. But this is reignited something.
I revived a weeb. I brought a fellow weeb back from the jaded depression depths. Sweet. I'll gladly take
I would
credit
never
for
say
that.
I was true, and the profile pictures I run say enough.
Bro.
I just haven't found my show, and I've stuck to YouTube because I am lazy. But
Well, you know what?
I believe we have nothing more to say here. I believe
You know
everything
what?
that is
The,
needed to be said has been
The
said.
two co-hosts of this podcast have seen a hell of a lot of anime, and we've both seen a few tens. So I think we can set you up for some shows you'll actually really love. All right.
I feel that most of these episodes may be coming. Watch how someone who is only somewhat ingrained into weeb culture develops his taste.
Oh yeah. Are you
And
kidding?
This is the fun of it. I'm very much looking forward
That was
to
the
it.
main motivation to get guests for this. Was just because I just thought it would be really entertaining, and I was right, to bring at least one extra person on who isn't one of the weeb co-hosts of this weeb podcast to kind of give their 2 cents and talk about it, and talk about if they'd recommend it or not. Because one of the target audiences for this podcast is brand new little baby weebs. I would have loved a podcast like this when I was a little baby
or even
green as
people
grass
who
weeb.
have not seen anything outside of the few big shows.
Yeah. This
We
is
delve
at its
into
core.
the morally questionable.
Yep. At its core, this is a recommendation podcast. That's what we do. And I will probably make little baby short versions, which will suck because YouTube Shorts do the annoying phone cropping thing. But I will totally do that for YouTube at least. Depending on how short I have to make it, I'll either do like 1 or 2 or 3. I'll just to get it out there so people can absorb our advice and our recommendation, even if they don't have time to listen to the whole episode. You know, I think that's a fair thing to do.
I
I'll
have
totally
some
do
ideas for that we can talk about after.
that. All right, I'm gonna cut the recording and then I'm gonna immediately restart the recording, and we're gonna talk spoilers, boys.
Hey, thanks again for watching. Yeah, I'm over here on my shittier mic because I forgot to record an outro, which is kind of amusing, you know. So I'm just gonna do that right here real quick. So in this episode, we had, of course, myself. I'm BladesArisen. I was the, you know, we'll give me creator credit for this podcast. I created this podcast. I edited this podcast, and I am one of your co-hosts. Our other co-host is, of course, bbdemon. He was my co-host for this one. I dragged him onto this podcast. Yep, he's probably going to be in most, if not all, episodes. Also very experienced, invaluable perspective for this podcast. And of course, we had Wraith. Sometimes he goes by PFC Wraith. He was our first guest on this particular episode, the very first episode. Fun. Yep, he also is the one who picked the show. We gave him a handful, and he picked this one. So that's what we're going to be doing for future episodes. We're not planning on changing that. We're going to let the guests pick what they want to watch, so this isn't total torture for them, hopefully. Also, just to mix things up, we'll probably be watching anime from a wide variety of different genres. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty nice. Yeah, hopefully it keeps working out. Worked out well for this first episode. The music in this episode was provided by none other than the legendary Karl Casey at White Bat Audio. Yeah. He's provided the royalty-free audio for a lot of different projects all over the web. Guy's awesome. You should go check him out. He has merch and everything. You know, you can go listen to the tracks standalone. If you're on YouTube, I have provided a playlist that has all the tracks I like to use for this playlist, so you can go check him out. Yep, that's gonna do it, guys. Obviously, support the official release, you know, watch the show legally if you can, you know, and we'll see you in the next